Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and I'm here with Stassa 23, and we are going to do a little knife therapy. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about tonight. And yeah, you guys should know by now, if we've got a stream that says it's going to start at 10 o'clock, it's going to be 10:10, 10:12, something like that. But you got to be careful. We may surprise you and be there at 10 on the dot. Yeah, how you doing tonight, Stassa?
Oh, pretty good. It's my birthday, so I'm doing really good. I made it another year.
That is right. It is Stassa 23's birthday, and that's awesome. Got him to stick around for another year. For those of you that don't know, that is actually a big deal, and we are thankful for it.
Yep. Really close one there.
Yeah, no kidding. Makes me worry every day because I do stuff somewhat similar to what you used to do.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, that's what you sign up for. You sign up, you get paid decent money for hazard pay, and you know, like I told anybody, it's an accident and anything could happen. You could get in a wreck on the way to work just as easy, you know.
That's absolutely right. And guys, know that Stassa's stream is on Louisiana Internet, and we're going to try our best. Here in the next few minutes, it should clear up. We've done some things that should straighten it up. If it doesn't, well, we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, we'll stick on. If it doesn't clear up, we'll stick to Zell's picture majority of the time. Unless I need to show y'all something.
Anyhow, the biggest thing that has come across is, and it's Stassa's birthday, guys. Anyhow, the biggest thing that has come across is we just started SHOT Show, and it's been kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
Not been a bunch out there. I mean, have you seen anything that's really mind-blowing or super cool, Stassa?
Nothing mind-blowing. I mean, we talked a little bit about it. Just the only things that kind of got me excited were companies that have been very, very blah, and I haven't even given a second look, like Gerber. Surprised me more than some of these big companies that we know and love. I mean, Gerber actually put out a cool looking folder with S30V steel, unlike their 6CR or 7CR they normally use. And it's something I might even buy, you know?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but I will be able to look at it now that you've mentioned it. Okay, so some of you guys probably watched the video I did on the bare knuckles, and where I kind of got upset and went off on a bit of a rant. Don't do that very often, but I did on that one because I hate how Kershaw does things, and somebody needs to figure out what's going on over there. So that is why, though, that SHOT Show has been kind of blah. There are lots of knife companies at SHOT Show, more knife companies than have ever shown up at SHOT Show. We have the introduction of this Gerber knife. We have the introduction of a ZT, little small knife. We have the
SOG too.
SOG has a few things. We got the introduction of the malware from Best Tech, and 3 or 4 other models from Best Tech that are Best Tech designed. And I don't think we really brought anything new to SHOT Show. And
no, that was something I was kind of shocked about.
Well, here's why. And we have been programmed. Those of us that are slightly older have been programmed to think that SHOT Show is where all the releases are going to happen. And the reason that they used to happen at SHOT Show was because we didn't have an internet. We didn't have the plug out of my camera, and we didn't have all these things. So the way things worked is SHOT Show is a dealer show. It's not a public show. It was not for us. Well, maybe for me and Stassa, but it wasn't for the general public. It was for dealers and media. That was it. So the way things would work is company whatever would release or show their product off at SHOT Show, and there wasn't any video, remember, guys, unless it was on TV or cable at this whenever SHOT Show started. So what happened was they were trying to hawk their wares for the year to dealers to try to figure out how many of something they should make and how they could get it out the door. And then whenever they kind of got that figured out, then they could control the narrative through magazines, TV, cable shows, all that stuff, and keep the hype kind of on a slow boil until they got ready to release it. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah. and another thing is that SHOT Show, just like you said, was not supposed to be. You weren't supposed to sell anything, right? I mean, it's like you said, strictly orders, and slowly people have managed to buy stuff, and they're not supposed to. You know, that's what Blade Show's for.
Right. Blade Show is the consumer show. Las Vegas Custom Knife Show, consumer show. New York Custom Knife Show, consumer show. All these other knife shows, for the most part, are consumer shows, especially the biggest, of course, being Blade Show. But SHOT Show is not. SHOT Show is a dealer show, and it is supposed to be. Now, it has changed because it's had to, but it's still not supposed to be for sales. It's supposed to be for collecting orders, seeing where things are. And that is why the knife companies did it for so long, and that's also why Benchmade quit last year. Spyderco quit this year. And for whatever freaking reason, Kershaw still do it. With the DT brand, they didn't do it, but they're doing it with their Kershaw brand. Kind of makes sense. Kershaw is a bit of an oddball brand, them and CRKT, because they are a mass-produced, mass market in bubble packs in every Walmart, Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, etc., all over the world. So it kind of makes sense for them to still do it, but it's annoying whenever they do things like bare knuckles. Wouldn't you say so, Stassa?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna retract my statement before, and it's not that I was shocked that we didn't have anything new. It's not because they didn't have anything new. It's because thanks to Zelrick and getting the content out there, we had already seen it. So they have new stuff, like some of the stuff you see on his table right now. But like I said, he got to work for us and put that content out for us, and we were able to see it before.
I guess that's kind of, but that is another issue. Whenever we sent me the bishop, or not bishop, this is a deacon, the bishop's on the way, and sent the gentry, and there's some other stuff, I don't remember what all came out. Whenever they sent those things, they didn't tell me they wanted them to be a SHOT Show release, because if they had told me they'd wanted them to be a SHOT Show release, I would have put the videos up yesterday. It was just like a general release. So
I didn't know that.
You know?
Yeah. So they thought they did want them up at SHOT Show. They just didn't say it.
No, they didn't. They had them out to dealers like last week. So
yeah.
Can't do that. Sorry, guys.
Gavco knife looks kind of interesting. Yeah, BP69. It's a cool one.
Okay, so the audio is working fine, guys, as far as we can tell. Unless it's high, low, screaming, or doing something weird like that, it is probably on the internet or the cellular connection on your end.
It just every now and again it sounds like something's like right up against the mic, like muffled. But it's in and out. It's not bad.
Yeah. All right. So anyhow, with SHOT Show, what was interesting? We talked about a couple of them. There were some things that I've just completely blown my mind now. I can't remember exactly. We have the Archio. That's Dylan's knife. Kind of got released at SHOT Show. And we will see some more stuff over the next week. But don't expect to see SHOT Show like we've seen in the past, because most of the knife companies are spreading those releases out over the year, and they're going to have the announcement much closer to the actual on-the-shelf date. And that's actually a good thing, in my opinion. What's your opinion on that one, Stassa?
Yeah, like if anybody paid attention to what Spyderco said, I thought that it's awesome that they know that we're upset. I mean, we get upset that they show something, and like you said, it's because we're forcing that hand, but they show something that they showed last year that still hadn't showed up in this year's, releases. But now whatever they show you, they said that it will be in dealers' hands within 30 to 120 days, and I think that's awesome. Can't ask for more. Hopefully they can keep up with that schedule, and I hope they don't let the quality control slip.
Hey, what's going on, Tony? And yeah, I hope they can keep to that too. I would like to see better control overall for all the knife companies on their production schedules, on their release schedules, on their promotion schedules, because being in the position that I'm in, it is really frustrating to deal with that stuff. And I don't know how much frustration you get out of it, Stassa, but it sure gets me.
It bugs me. It's either one of those.
And now, one Spyderco I did see that I want to get in my hands, and I want to get in Stassa's hands, and probably you guys too, is the lightweight paramilitary 2. That is, and I know people are going to argue and be all fussy this way and that about this, but that, in my opinion, is how the paramilitary 2 should have been to begin with.
Now, it's funny. I have mixed emotions about that. I definitely want one. And I'm sure there's probably 99% chance I will be getting one. But if I get that one, this is how I see it. And, it may not be anybody else's opinion, but I only need one super lightweight, kind of like I only really need a couple of slip joints. I'll be fine with having my Mannix lightweight, and I'll be fine with having the paramilitary lightweight. Other than that, I don't need any other ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I just think that the paramilitary 2 has been a candidate for this lightweight treatment for a long time. And it's something that just really happened. And the price point they're probably going to hit. I haven't looked at any of the pre-orders, but I'm betting it's $100 or less.
And I think the thing that excites me the most, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not a steel snob whatsoever, but I'm very interested to test out and try and do my little test on the BD1N, because it adds that extra little component that I hear makes a hell of a difference to BD1. Yummy coffee.
Oh, yeah. And yes, the BD1, I dealt with BD1. I haven't put BD1 in yet, but I'll put BD1 regular like this. I like it like I like Sandvik, only it's a little prettier. Little prettier.
Yeah. And I hear the BD1N it makes a really good improvement if it's done right, just like Nitro V does with 14C28N. That's basically the same steel with that upgrade.
Yeah. And BP1's asking about bad primary grinds on a Spyderco. I think you're talking about secondary grinds. Maybe not. Okay. Filter primary grind is right here. Secondary grind or secondary bevel down here.
Yeah.
I have never got a Spyderco that had a bad primary grind. I have got several of them, especially in 110V, that had really crappy secondary grinds or secondary bevels, because S110V is just a real pain in the rear, and Spyderco has it figured out the best of anybody out there, and they still don't get it right. The primary grinds, I've never had a Spyderco with a bad one. Have you, Stassa?
I mean, the Spyderco is probably the knife I have the most of. And like you said, as far as their primary grinds, I mean, that's pretty much done on machines, and their QC's pretty good. I haven't noticed any, but I've had some wonky secondaries.
Oh yeah, lots of walkie secondary bevels. And Blade Banner asked who made the custom tool holders. Well, I made them.
Hey Zell, I got to get something on my phone. If I happen to go out for a second, that's what's going on. Okay.
All right, man. It may be. I may not have got it right, Barry, but I was pretty sure it was the PM2. If it's a para 3, it's nowhere near as cool to me. But yeah, Blade Banner is. What's going on, Slicey? It is the para 3. Well, then that's nowhere near as exciting for me, guys. Sorry. You guys can have that one. I'll just if I'm gonna have a small knife, I've got a bunch right here. And the tool holders are 3D printed. Everything up here that's not a knife or metal was 3D printed. I'm trying to learn 3D printing for prototyping and other things. And Stassa, whoa.
Yeah, I'm back.
We've got an interesting shot there, Stassa.
Wait, what's going on?
There we go. I think you had your camera flipped. I think we were looking at the ceiling there for a minute.
Yeah, I had to flip it real quick because whenever I had to single out for a second to get something for my daughter, it turned my screen around again. So okay. Yeah, I didn't know you didn't realize that the lightweight was on the Para 3.
Oh yeah, well then that's pointless to me. I didn't. The Para 3 sizing is just goofy for me. It would be great for the rest of you.
Now you see kind of why I was saying what I said, because to me, like I said, I'll still get one just because I want to test out the BD1N, but I don't really see that much of a problem with the G10. Like as far as heft, it's not heavy to me, and I don't know. I think it would have been a better platform for the PM2. Personal opinion, but like I said, I'm still going to get one just to see if it's worthwhile.
Oh, and BP69 saying the Para 3 is great. Yeah, it is. It's just not for me.
I mean, it's got to be what you enjoy using. For me, I probably wouldn't have even experienced it if my carry methods have changed big time since my accident. But it works well for me. And I still love my military. I just kind of phased out the PM2. I know that's kind of blasphemy, but I just don't really have a use for it anymore.
Well, I'm with you. I've got a PM2 that I probably haven't carried a single time in over a year. And it just becomes, it's what you start carrying and what you get used to. But anyhow, that was kind of the SHOT Show deal. And Stassa, you're on deck because I got to go get something out of my cabinet. All right.
All righty, I can definitely handle that.
I am going to leave on my camera though, because every time we swap to your camera, we drop out.
Definitely do that. Okay. And I want to hear what any of y'all thoughts, any of the stuff that y'all enjoyed from y'all SHOT Show footage y'all seen so far. Definitely hope I can make it there yet next year. Got to figure out how I get the media pass, whatever, or if I can even do that. I'm going to figure it out one way or the other. But some of the things that I saw that besides like the Spyderco lightweight and that, I don't know how I feel about that Tanto, guys. What do y'all think about that? I'm not really a Tanto fan. It didn't look terrible, but I don't know. I guess if you always wanted a paramilitary without that needle-like tip, there you go. That it did look a little. I'm sure it'll look a lot better because that was a hand ground. I'm sure that was started out as a paramilitary 2-blade, and they just hand grounded into that Tanto. Let's see. I'll look at some of y'all comments. I missed it. All right. Oh, okay. Some other stuff that I noticed that I liked, like I was saying, that Gerber EDC blade and S30V. I never thought I would have said that I liked something that. I don't know about y'all. Sorry about that. I don't know about y'all, but one thing that I'm kind of tired of seeing is what's up with all these cleavers everywhere. I saw so many companies producing their take on cleavers, folding cleavers, cleaver kitchen knives. I don't know. I just don't have a use. One like I think I got 2 or 3 cleavers, and I think that's way enough for me. That's just my thoughts. Also, I'm liking the way that I see CRKT starting to phase into some D2. I think that's another good thing. Yeah, they are a trend for sure. I like that banner 24/7. One thing that excites me a lot, I don't know if y'all noticed, there's a lot of micarta starting to phase itself into the industry, and I love micarta. I love the tactility. When your hands get wet, it still gives that nice grip. I love it so much. And another person maker that almost every single one of his designs, minus one, had me absolutely enamored, and that is Leon Ma. I don't know if y'all saw all of his new up-and-coming prototypes. I've always liked a lot of his designs, but a lot of them were geared toward more of your harder use with a thicker blade stock. And, here lately with the My Racer and stuff like that, he started to, make them more slicey. And, man, he has some awesome ones. That Zulu, that thing was beautiful. The Officer, I think it was called. I'm not even a big blade guy fan, but wow. Yeah, Banner. I was taken back. Every single one of them, usually, they have 6 knives. Usually you'll be lucky to get 2 winners, but like I said, I think every single one of them did it for me, except I think it was the front flipper one. I think it was his kitchen utility, tactical utility or whatever knife that he put a front flipper on. That didn't do it for me, but that's just my preference.
The goofiest looking front flipper I ever seen.
Yeah.
I on that a couple nights ago, and I was like, dude, I like everything you got, man, but that one just goofy. No way.
And real quick, while I got the mic while Zell setting up, I don't know one of my subscribers. I don't have the actual card, but his first name's Mike. If you're on here, you know who you are, and all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is the first time I got anything, sent to me from any of my subscribers. As far as like, I don't know, he sent me a letter for my birthday. And he included $20 in there, and that's way too much, man. But all I have to say is thank you for the letter. That means more to me than anything. That just thanking me for what I do and that I've helped in some way. And if I can help one person, then this channel, is I got what I needed to out of this channel. So let's see. I'm gonna look at some of your comments. The Roxy with the flames is wicked. Oh yeah, I love the flames. I mean, it looks like my S&G, my Strider S&G, and I've always liked the flames. The funny thing is the flames. Whenever I had first, about 7 or 8 years ago, when I had first seen those on YouTube, those flames. When I first looked at them on YouTube, not knowing any better, I thought it was a 3-dimensional pattern cut into the steel. I had no idea it was just an anodizing. And when I got my first S&G, I was just enamored by that on there. Show us the malware so I can see it for a second. Can't wait to get my hands on it so I can drool all over it and say, "Call me daddy." Roxy looks cleaverish. The Roxy looks cleaverish. It's more of a Warncliffe. I wouldn't call that so much. Let's see. Zell, see if my screen's working right now. Because I'm going to compare a cleaver to the Roxy.
Oh, I'm not seeing any movement. We'll see what happens. Nope, I'm not getting your screen at all, bud.
Okay, that's fine. I was just going to show them the Berg's Blade Slim, which is definitely cleaver. I guess if you wanted to say it's cleaver-esque in the wide blade, maybe, but it's definitely, I guess you could call it a reverse cleaver, maybe.
It's CXC.
Who's getting the micarta Gemini? I already thought the Gemini was pretty darn light, I'm definitely going to be checking it out at my local shop if they get one. But hey, I'm not going to lie. If it's got my card on it, I might get it just because it's got my card on it. I love the material. And I think what I got out of what they said is that the way they're going to be machining it, they're going to leave it. I don't know. It might have been the other company that was showing a lot of my card up, but they're going to be machining it. No, it's Kaiser. Yeah, Kaiser talking about the Gemini, saying that they're going to leave it with that, with the furriness to the micarta, where you can actually feel the fabric instead of the epoxy. And it sounded like he was worried that people would like that. I don't think he realizes that that's what we like in the micarta. To me, polished micarta is kind of like wood. It's just really slick, and you're not really getting that tactility from it. Been wanting to try Ray Laconico design. I tell you what, the Ray Laconico, the one that he's producing that looks just like the one that new one that Kaiser's coming out with. Not the men pen, but I don't know. It's just a very, very sleek, no frills kind of knife, and I think it was $180. I'm definitely gonna be getting one of those. Banner 24/7. You got one. What is that one called? Not the men pen. Yeah, the EZC. That one. How do you like that one, man? That one just really does it for me. And I think we talked about it the other day on your video. I like that simplistic design. Yeah, 180 ship. That seems like that's a super value, correct? Yes, he loves it. I thought I was the only one who wanted a purple Keen. Hey, ain't no biggie. If you like purple, you like purple. I like blue.
Absolutely. So let's move on just a little bit here. As a price on the don't know yet. We don't know. The things I can tell you about the malware, we're going to get at least at least 3 different versions of it. And I have not seen it in person yet, so I can't confirm, but left-handers should be extremely happy with this release. Now, why do I have a sharp maker up here?
Could you just dull one of your knives?
Well, yeah, but I've got a wicked. I've got over $1,000 wicked edge locked up over there in the cabinet, and $500 or $600 worth of KME stuff. So why do I have a sharp maker out here, Stassa?
Okay, let me give you a couple. Because first of all, that wicked edge is going to take a good bit of time to set up, and you don't need it. That right there, what you got on the table, will do a damn good job of keeping your knife razor sharp, as long as you don't let it get dull. And if you're talented enough, you could fix even a dull knife or with certain steels. But that machine right there, ceramic rods are what, about a 70 HRC, 72?
Yeah, something like that.
That machine right there is my most used system I have. And I have a expensive wicked edge too. I have some nice, diamond stones like a Tome 400 and those type of stones. I got a lot, but the Sharp Maker is such a great system at the price. It's hard to beat, and I definitely recommend it to anybody out there. I think the thing I like the most, even after I put a knife on the wicked edge, and only time I definitely use the wicked edge is when I need to reset my bevels. If I have crap bevels or I need to reprofile it, then I'll put it on my wicked edge. I will fix the bevels or reprofile it. Then every time after, whenever I have to maintain that edge or just keep it sharp, I literally pull out the fine or ultra fine stones, do about 10 passes on it, and it's back to where it was from the beginning. And I've sharpened all the way from Maximet down to 448. It can handle every steel I've ever tried on it. But like I said, it's a honing device, especially without the carbonitride or whatever stones. It's meant to hone your edge. So that means you're not going to take a dulled out, completely dull knife and bring it back on there. Like I said, unless you're talented, it's meant to either bring that sharpness back to where it was, you know, where it's still cutting, you know, printer paper, and you want it to be hair, you know, popping again. That's what that's meant for.
All right. So if
wait,
we were
okay, go ahead.
No, finish up because I want to just put it all together in one big ball here in just a minute.
This is just before Zelrick started. This is one thing that if you're OCD like me, one thing that I'd recommend doing, but it's definitely not something you have to. But being that I think Cliff Stamp did a video on it. Your stones may not be perfectly straight. If you put them together, sometimes they're not. Mine weren't. And it's something you can easily do. Just put a little mark on whatever side that you're using, like the flats on both of those sides. Put a little mark at the top of it, and always use those sides so you'll always get that same bevel if you go back to that same knife. Because they do vary. I put the angle cube on mine, and they do vary, but as long as you keep them the same, and it doesn't matter, you're still going to get your knife sharp. I mean, I'm OCD like that. So go ahead, Zell.
Okay, well, I was just going to gather everything up in one big ball of wax and say that the reason for the sharp maker, and specifically the sharp maker, is if you go watch Sal's video, you can do almost anything with this. It costs $60 and it'll keep your darn knife sharp. You don't need any of the fancy fixed angle sharpeners if all you're trying to do is keep a knife sharp. This right here at somewhere around $60 usually is all you need. And it's I wanted to get that out there because so many people, they see the edges with KME and the Wicked Edge and they're like, oh my God, it costs $300 to get into a KME. It costs $500 to get into a Wicked Edge. They're not necessary. This is kind of necessary. And I say specifically this one. Other people will tell you Turnbox and other things. I've never had great luck with those systems. So I always steer people towards a sharp maker because it's dead simple. Anyhow, Stassa, ball's yours again. I'm going to try to get Seth in here.
All right, Raphael, what's up? The real truth about Stassa 23. What's that? Just got a notification.
Oh.
I'll watch it later. Oh.
Wow, the real truth about Stassa 23. Is there a video out there on that? That could be scary.
No telling. Is that a real thing? A video about me? Somebody actually wasted their time talking about me? Oh! I see. Slicey just put it on there. My daughter, for my birthday, I guess I haven't even watched it yet. Hijacked my YouTube channel and posted a video that she wanted me to see. All I know is my wife said it brought tears to her eyes, so I don't know. If any of y'all have seen it, let me know. Yeah, I know, Raphael. My daughter hijacked my channel for my birthday. She did a video. Thanks, Slicey. She did a video on me. And I don't know. I haven't even seen it yet. Brian, have you seen it? Oh, yeah. Brian's seen it. So, yeah. My subs are saying that they're seeing it now.
All right. So
they'll probably have to wait till the video, though.
Can you guys see it?
Hey, real quick, while Seth's in here, I gotta go say something to wife real quick, okay?
All right, I'm gonna bring your video up, Seth. Your video is up. You need to put your phone around the other way and get it squared up because you're all vertical on us. Hey, there you
go. Okay, so I've only got a few minutes, but I thought you guys might want to see the Roxy 3 prototype.
Okay, so we haven't talked about that one. How are you going to grind the blade on that? Are we going to stay with the same grind that we've got on the other Roxy's? Because
for this prototype, probably.
We've got a different profile around there. Blade.
I couldn't hear what you said, but basically the difference is this is not a flipper. So if you see how it's done there, it rolls open. And the big difference is this is a 3-inch blade instead of the 2.5.
Right. People have asked for that, and we're a prototype. Doesn't mean it'll go to production, but we are doing a prototype.
Can't get the thing to focus.
We need to get you one. I need to bring you one of these articulating arms. In fact, not this weekend, but next weekend I should be in Houston.
Okay. But that's the big difference is you got, this is on washers instead on a bearing, and you got a roller to open it versus a flipper. And then, of course, you got the standard. You can open it that way. And that it's 3 inches.
Right. Why don't you pick up some of the rest of what you've got there if you've got time and a little about it. Those two in the middle, I think people are going to be excited about.
So this is the prototype of the InfoSec, the small version that is the same thing as a roller lock. This one doesn't have an edge on it yet, but
yummy. You know, how big is that one, Seth? I love that.
It's a little bit bigger than the Roxy, but not much. Obviously, a lot lighter. It's definitely a small knife. I mean, this one also I have drawings for, but I haven't prototyped. There is a 3-inch version and there is a 4-inch version of this one. And then again, same thing here, roll open. And then of course there is, and this one's been lasered a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the non-rolling version of that one. It's just a standard.
Oh, let me see. Put that. I want to see the label, whatever you got on there. Is that a skull, Punisher skull or something?
If I can get it to focus. Yeah, let me see if I can get it to focus.
Put your whole hand, Seth. Put your whole hand behind the knife.
Yeah, it'll focus, so it won't focus on the stuff behind it.
Yeah, the Samsung and the iPhones, they do this thing where you got to have. Yeah, it probably won't close focus. Oh, there we go. There you go.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
y'all got a laser engraver?
Yeah.
Laser practice.
Oh, I didn't know y'all got that. When y'all got that?
About 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, I see you did a pattern on the tie too, huh?
Yeah.
On the
show that too. Yeah, that is awesome looking.
Yeah. If I can get it again.
Oh man, the sky's the limit now.
Yeah.
You can do some cool anode stuff with that too.
Yeah, it's a long learning curve. I'm working on it. But cool. That's that one. I got to jump out of here, but I hadn't posted anything up of this one, so I thought you guys might want to see it.
Okay, Seth, go through one more time with that one and the InfoSec and bring it up as close as you can get it to focus and show how that roller lock works so that the people in the stream anyhow understand it's not a front flipper.
Yeah, so it's not a front flipper. Like a front flipper, I have a front flipper version of this nice knife, but you see that arc right there? On the front flipper, there's no arc. It just comes down straight because you would just go like that and flip it open. The difference here is when this is open, you see how the back of the blade rolls up just above the scales? Mm-hmm. That's so that you can just roll it straight open with your thumb like that.
Yeah, so you don't lose contact with the blade the whole time.
Right, because if you don't, then it doesn't lock up very well. So you can keep it like that. So you got the jimping there.
Yeah, I like that.
And it gives you that interesting profile whenever it's closed. And And I don't know. I assume somebody else is doing that, but I don't know. I haven't really seen anything. Then you got same thing on this one. Now this one, because it's a smaller knife, has a much bigger angle here to make sure you got the leverage. Just pop it open.
Very interesting. That one I like the most. Well, I think it's either that one or is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and the deal here is these won't have as stiff a detent as a flipper because they're literally made for you to roll them open. They're not made to be flipped. They're on bushings, not bearings, and they're meant to be that still interesting to mess with your hands. Fidget toy, of course, but not the loud, snappy, something you can use in the office and not freak people out.
Yeah. But this one, even on washers, I'm not very good at it, but.
Right. But you've got the detent tightened up a little more on that one, right?
No. I mean, I just flipped it out. It's got a good lockup. And this, I got drawings back for this morning. So This is in the process of getting made, and this is the same way. Open with a roller.
And is that an over travel?
That is a carbon fiber over travel.
Yeah, I like the way y'all did that.
Now that is the one thing they took out of the drawing, so I got to talk to them about it.
I mean, a lot of them just like to do that internal. I mean, it doesn't matter either way. It's just a nice aesthetic, touch, I think.
Yeah, it just looks cool.
Yeah, and the idea was you'd be able to add in whatever material for an over travel stop.
Yeah, kind of like they do with the Striders and Hinders.
Right.
With a little disc. Yeah. Because, it's cool to be able to customize your knives, to your liking.
Yeah. So I thought I had, this was the first test with the laser.
Right. Yeah, the laser is, Seth can tell you more, but it is a huge learning curve. I mean, I thought getting the 3D printer and trying to figure out FDM stuff was going to be tough. And don't get me wrong, I still have a printer I've got to build that's sitting in the back of my truck right now. But I think the learning curve on the FDM stuff is a lot less steep than it is on the laser.
Well, to get the laser to do the basic, like I just want to mark something, that's not that big a deal. I mean, it was tough, but not that big a deal. But whenever you get into I want it to mark a specific way, or I want anodizing on colors and different types of materials, I want it to deep engrave, I want it to cut, all of that is a lot of test and learn.
Yeah. I figured that's what you're talking about because, you see it whenever you go to the Benchmade booth, whenever they put whatever, your name or something on there, but they already have the program set up correct. And it's just typing it in there, putting it wherever you want it.
Yeah. It's a lot of parameters you got to set.
Yeah. Kind of like a CNC parameter type thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got frequency, you got pulse width, you've got power, you've got the focus, all of that stuff plays a role. I got to jump off here, guys. I just wanted to jump in real quick. Talk to you later.
Thanks for showing those. Appreciate it, man.
No yep.
You have a good night, and I'll see you here in a few days.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate Seth coming in and showing some of our new Todd Knife and Tool prototypes. It's always cool whenever we get a chance to do that. And I know that Seth has been our only guest on this show, but whenever we can do a better job of nailing down times, we're going to get other guests on here. What do you think, Stassa?
Yeah, definitely. And especially when we can find, somebody that is a fun cohesion with the group and has fun with the.
Right. One of the guys I want to get on, well, I'm not going to say because I'll just call him and we'll get him on. He's a lot of fun. Definitely part of the knife industry. All right. Now that we went all sideways on it, we went through the Sharp Maker, we went through SHOT Show, and you've got the list. What is up next?
I talked about a few of them, just some of the things that kind of caught my eye, like CRKT phasing into the D2 world. I think that's really cool. Hopefully, like I said, I'm not a steel snob, but it's cool to see a company that it's not costing them much more, if any, and why not go into a steel that's going to have a little bit of edge retention, be a little bit tougher, and go into your 14C 28 ends. Those steels can't be much more in raw materials or, cutting ability. I mean, how hard they are to machine. So I like when, you start seeing these companies try to get in with the rest of the industry. And also, Spider Code deadline thing. And what do you think, Zell? I was super excited. You know how I feel about micarta, but I saw several companies. You had Kaiser. There was a few other companies. I just can't remember exactly who it was, but has micarta on their not had one, I think. No, it might have been ZT. I don't know. One of them.
I'm not going to get interested or excited about the micarta until it comes to mass production and fruition, because I have heard from people in the production end of things how big a pain that stuff is. And I guess I'm just not going to believe it until I see it on the shelf.
Oh, I mean, definitely. No doubt about it.
Because we heard this talk, I don't know, about a year, well, not quite a year ago, about seeing more micarta. And, it didn't come to fruition then. We'll see what happens this time.
Well, and I don't know if it's anything different, but I think it's just a different name. But you heard the guy from Kaiser. What's his name?
David.
Who?
David's son is their U.S.
Yeah, David Dang. Yeah, but
no.
they were talking to David. Is it David Dang?
David's son.
Okay, they were talking to him, and they have the Feist with micarta, and they called it press board, something like that. They called it something, but it was micarta.
Maybe they're doing a process to get the micarta. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's why I want to get, because they had a linen version and a burlap version, along with they had the carbon fiber Gemini. They had the Gemini with the micarta, and he said that one of them was supposed to be coming out soon. That they've got a batch ready. They're just doing the assembly on them. So, like you said, though, I won't hold my breath. I've heard many companies, and I know personally some companies that were supposed to use it and never could get the machining process down right, because Zell's right. Everybody that's been on my channel knows that I do modding myself, and I've made plenty of micarta scales. And of all the material, even harder than carbon fiber, micarta, it just gets gummy and soft and very hard to work with.
But I hadn't thought about this until you were kind of bringing that up. There is a way, if you already know what shape you need, to do micarta in a mold.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you're already, like, when you make homemade micarta, you're making yourself a press anyway, So if you already had that shape down packed, like if you had a scale already and you can make that scale pattern in one of them molds that you use, what is it that you do, like plaster of Paris and stuff like that?
Well, yeah,
you could definitely probably do that.
Be a little more complicated mold, but you could do that in a mold, and that would take away some of the scary, gummy nastiness. And so maybe some of these companies like Kaiser are going to do some of that. We'll just have to wait and see, because, like I said, I'm not going to get excited till it comes to pass. As somebody said, something at Kershaw didn't blow me away. I don't think they're saving anything for Blade Show. Kershaw does every year. They blow everything out at SHOT Show, which makes absolute sense for them, because they are a retail company, a bubble pack company, and they are trying to get as many orders as they can get in to figure out what they're going to produce and when it's going to come to fruition. Because if you watch over the past several years, Kershaw will release a whole bunch of different designs, but if you actually tally it up 12 months later, there's going to be 4 or 5 that never even surfaced.
Yeah, and may never surface. And the only thing that kind of bummed me out about Kershaw, it looked like they were taking a step in the right direction with all the KVT folders. And it looks like they took 6 steps back this year. I think they had one with KVT that I wasn't even that interested in, and all the ones that I was remotely interested in, they either did stainless steel frames with assist, or they did something to completely demolish the design.
Now, something back to what Slicey said there. Maybe they're saving something for Blade Show. It is a possibility that they have learned from Spyderco and Benchmade and all the others that have went to this other method of release, and maybe we're going to see some stuff out of U.S. Kershaw throughout the year instead of getting the big blowout at Blade Show, or not at Blade Show, but at SHOT Show. If they do that, that's brilliant.
And that would make a lot of sense too, because if you look at how everything played out this year, a lot of the mid-year releases from last year, it just, they just came out in the right at the budget, right at the line of 2018 and 19. So that means you could possibly have, a mid-year releases, bunch of them. We'll have to see.
Maybe my rant did some good, because, if they do change that up, I'm going to take 100% credit for it because, anyhow.
Bare knuckles, etc. Yeah, Slicey, I'm hoping to see a fancy pants of the bare knuckles as well. I'm actually happy to say, my first bare knuckles was I got a lemon, and I was able to get a new one, and man, I've grown to like it a lot now that I put a fresh fancy pants edge on it, and the detent's right where I would like it to be, and it's drop shut now, smooth. It's actually stupid smooth. It guillotined me twice already, but it's just a comfortable knife. It is a little cold in the hand in these 30-degree weather right now, but I don't care.
And yes, Slicey, I'm going to take credit. I'll have them all watch the video again. I'll re-release it. But and yes, the bare knuckles is the best thing to come out of Kershaw USA for a very long time.
No doubt.
And Blade Banner, Blade Show West being taken seriously by the major brands is going to take some time. And it's also going to take Blade HQ. Ben, guys, are you listening? Blade HQ is going to have to show up. And I say they're going to have to show up. I'm saying, guys, be there for a reason, because if you don't, then it's completely ridiculous, because Smoky Mountain Knife Works is going to own Blade Show West, and you're going to own Blade Show Atlanta, which just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. They're going to, but I mean, it's going to be just like, Blade, the original Blade Show Atlanta was when it first started. It took 6, 7, 10 years before that it became what it is today. So you got it, and it makes sense, because after talking with certain makers and certain companies on why they weren't attending, especially any of the companies that are overseas and stuff like that, it just costs so much to even get there, with all the travel expenses on all your employees, all the setup, all the shipping of the knives. It's way more expensive than I could have ever fathomed. So in order for them to take that leap, they got to know that they're going to have enough return to do it. You can't take a huge loss like that unless you're like a Benchmade or something like that and can handle it. Because some of these companies, that are still trying to make their name big, can't afford that kind of loss.
Absolutely. Now, I am going to say that I was very disappointed, and I'm going to hit on them again. I know I just did, but I was very disappointed in Blade HQ, and I've been very disappointed in Knife Center and their whole media thing. But those two companies really didn't even make a presence at Blade Show West, and Blade HQ especially has become the knife media in many ways.
Well, yeah.
And
well, they do the most production.
Right. Why the organizers didn't make some kind of deal to make sure they were there, I don't know. Or I don't know the background of the situation, but the reality was that Smoky Mountain Knife Works was the only major company that does video production that was there, and those guys were running their tails off trying to get stuff done. And it, like I said, doesn't make any sense because it's, Utah's a lot closer than the Smoky Mountains to Blade Show West.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Is it closer for them? Because my geography is shit. Is it a lot closer for them, the West Coast or the East Coast?
Blade HQ, it would be quicker to get to Portland, way quicker to get to Portland than Atlanta.
Yeah, so I guess to them but you think about it too, though. In Atlanta, it's not like they have a booth. Well, they do, but it's not like all these other companies where they're selling knives and stuff. They're just there, like you said, as a media, and to be a presence. They're not there to do any kind of selling.
Right. And Slicey, you're right, but it's one of those things. If you're Smoky Mountain Knife Works, whenever Blade Show Atlanta shows up, you load up the truck and you drive 100 and some miles south, and you're there. Maybe 200, I'm not sure, but and whenever your Blade HQ and Portland shows up, you get in the truck, or if you're Zach, you get on the bike and you ride a couple 100 miles, and you're there.
Well, weren't they also in the middle of the move at that time?
They may have been. I don't know. I just
because I heard them say that's why they didn't go, because they were in the process of moving to the new building.
Oh, if that's the case, then maybe some of my fussing is a bit over.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Anybody have any input on that? I could have sworn I heard them talk about the main reason why they didn't get there is because they were in the process of moving to that bigger location. I could be wrong. I don't know.
May have been. I'm not sure.
It was definitely in between one of the shows. I don't know if it was the Blade Show or the New York Custom Show. It was one of those shows that they were supposed to attend, but being that they were moving to a bigger location, they couldn't at that time.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll be there next year, and hopefully Smoky Mountain Knife Works continues to do what they're doing. I have really enjoyed those guys getting their videos out and doing some of the stuff that they're up to, and and being a bit of a competitor to Blade HQ. I really wish Knife Center would step it up, and GP Knives and some of these others, and do the same. But it would be good to see that.
Oh, that sounds fun, Brian. I'm jealous. He's going to be heading to Blade HQ in late March. Take me with you.
Yeah, I had
what's up?
Yeah, I had planned on being there whenever we thought the Roxy was going to be released in November, and going up there during release weekend. But well, it didn't get released till December, and that kind of got messed up.
Yeah. Brian, I was thinking about that too, and you got like Knife Center also has a channel, and theirs isn't that high. I think to me it's because Blade HQ puts way more production time in their editing and putting their videos together and being way more into the community, and that's why because to me I don't need to be subscribed to all the dealers I buy from. I just need one, and Blade HQ, and GP Knives and Blade HQ are my go-tos. Because, who can't listen to Tyler here with GP Knives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing is, Ben has worked so hard at being part of the community every day, doing something. If you follow the Ben Banters Instagram and all those things, Ben is active every day doing all kinds of stuff in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And that counts for a huge amount whenever it comes to being a dealer like that. And he's also free with his opinions and doesn't get locked up on things like a lot of people will. And I think that's part of why, well, I know that's why you don't see Knife Center out there. They do these overview videos, but you're not getting any personality. You don't get to know these people. And, Smoky Mountain Knife Works is the other way around. They've got a couple guys that do the videos, but they're not out there constantly, giving their putting their personality on the line, basically. Where Ben is, Zach has started to do some of that, and some of the rest of the crew over at Blade HQ have as well. It's a scary proposition if you're Blade HQ, because if you turn, Ben is already a bit of a media star, but if you turn your entire staff into a media star, it gets hard to pick them.
Yeah. And Ben is the one that took him off, because Ben is that nice, super nice guy that everybody, is friends with. And it's obvious that Ben was the biggest asset that they got him twice, and, people were fighting for him. CRKT got him and then went back to Blade HQ. So, and then people felt like they'd lost the best friend when he went to CRKT and they didn't see him anymore, So,
right. And that's, and I guess from what I'm seeing in the comments, Ben's not going to be doing videos anymore.
Yeah, they talked about that the other day because when he popped in on what's his name's video, they were like, "See, we told you Ben's still alive. Just because he's not on the videos anymore, he's here." But I think he's got another position at Blade HQ now, huh?
Maybe, but they can say all they want about Ben not being in there. They're probably just trying to get Zach the spotlight. Maybe Ben's got some things he needs to do, because they're not going to let Ben off of doing videos no matter what they say or what Ben says.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. And, if anybody, if y'all want to hit the super chat and get me a birthday present, no, I'm just kidding. But hey, if anybody happens to give on the super chat, just going to tell you thank you right now, because what did we tell them that last time, Zell? We were shipping something for, what was that? And the cost of what we got donated was perfect amount to do that. What was it?
Well, there were a couple of things. I don't remember exactly what we had to ship, but there was some shipping stuff, and then there was that memory module that went haywire in the computer. And I had put myself in not a huge bind, but a bit of a bind. I had the 3D printers coming. That was already bought and paid for out of funds for the Todd Knife and Tool stuff. And then right there in December, I had that. I couldn't figure it out for a while, but it ended up being memory module that was not addressing properly, had an error in it somewhere. And it was the Patreon guys and the Super Chat guys that bought the memory module that has us online tonight. Because for those of you who don't know, whenever we do this stuff on YouTube, we're running through a machine at my place where all of the stuff happens to make everything else happen. And if that machine doesn't work, we can't do anything.
Yeah. Zell, I'm gonna still be on, but I gotta walk my dog, so
no problem.
I put the video on my. I know we're not doing video on mine, so I just whatever. I just blocked it off of it. There's something else.
Unfortunately, I didn't. I don't. People think that I have a whole bunch of Roxys. I have what you see right here, and this isn't even actually mine. This one does not belong to me. I just happen to have it still for a video. But one of mine is in the pass around.
Yep, I got it.
These two are actually owned by We Knife Company, and one of the We Knife Company owned ones are in the pass around.
Yeah, I got it. And I hope y'all know, guys, I'm joking. I would never ever want somebody to send me something like that. You know, that would be super cool, but that's way over the top, and I'd feel bad. You know, don't ever think I'm ever asking for anything, because I'm grateful just to have y'all, you know, to talk to. And I'm guessing that's what the video is about that my daughter put on my channel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got to watch that. Right.
Yeah.
Now, you be careful, Slicey. I still think you've got, where is it? I had one of them up here. I think you still got one of these that does belong to me up at your place.
What is it?
I get so lost on the names. But
I think is that the one you sold to me, Brian?
Very well.
I can't even see what y'all are talking about. I'm just playing around.
I don't remember what the name on it is. I get lost. There's so many of them. I get lost on the names.
That's definitely a harder than people think to keep track of.
Yeah, and okay, so Nick was talking about, or Stassa was talking about some of the companies getting into D2. I'm going to say I like that. I do. But I have this issue that I don't quite understand.
What is that?
Yeah, you do have a memory of the goldfish, and that would be great. I was inventorying everything the other day, and that one wasn't there, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I remembered where it was. But anyhow, vapor. That's right, Raphael. Thank you. Okay, so this steel thing. I did a whole bunch of research for myself for making knives a while back on steel. And what I came up with is if you're buying semi-premium through premium steel, the piece of steel that makes your knife blade, whether it's M390, S35V, etc., with the exception of S90V, S110V, Maximet,
yeah,
ZD189,
high carbides,
some of the crazy stuff, all that steel costs about the same. Now, there are differences in how it machines, of course, and I absolutely don't understand why these companies are choosing D2. Makes zero sense to me.
But that's what I was saying by, you know, like, at least they went to that instead of the 8CR. Like, you know, when they're the same price and you know that it can't cost much more to machine, and it probably doesn't, then why not use some of these 14Cs and some of that to keep up with your competition? And that's going to lead me into another segue after we finish talking about this, is what are y'all looking forward to that y'all hope to see in 2019? Because I have a couple of things that I would love to see happen.
Well, but that's exactly where I was getting. And Slicey, it's all right. Just get her back down here so I can tally up the inventory and get it all even. I'd appreciate it. Where I was going with that is, and I've even talked to some other knife makers about this, why are they not using S35VN? S35VN is a great steel. It's reasonably easy to sharpen. It holds an edge for a fairly long time. It doesn't tip. It's got it was a steel meant for knives, specifically for knives. And it does a great job. It costs about the same as any of the other steels. And on top of it, it machines fairly easily. So lower cost machining. Better steel. Now, it does have a somewhat more, or not more, a less, you got to be more exact on your heat treat with it. Because if you goof the heat treat, well, you goof. But any more with the vacuum heat treating and all this other stuff that most knife companies are using shouldn't be a big deal. You know, you set up all the stuff on the dials and say, here, do this, hit the button, and it does it. Not quite that easy, guys, but you know what I mean. So I don't understand why they're choosing V2 and not some S35VN, unless they are still trying to use S35VN for a stepping stone for price.
Yeah. And this, go ahead.
I was just going to tell Steve, I have not had my hands on a bishop in several months. I should have one here next week.
One thing that, and this is something, if there's something that y'all want to see happen in the community, everybody needs to talk about it, because here lately, these companies are actually getting in on the forums, they're getting in Instagram, they're getting in on Facebook, and they're seeing what we're asking for. And if enough people are asking for it, they try to make it happen. So, you know, like for instance, what I would love to see in 2019 is for companies to maybe dial back on, 17 new knives for in a short period of time, and take 4 of them and hit that QC perfectly on there, and get their heat treating right. It doesn't matter what steel you use. If the heat treat's garbage, it could be the best steel in the world. It's garbage,
I
So,
absolutely.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, one more thing I was going to say just came to mind on the steel issue. Raphael, I'll get to the bishop name here in just a moment. This right here, this prototype's actually M390, if I remember correctly, Mark, but I think it is M390. Now, whenever this blade, whenever it steers, it will be on purpose in S35VN. And everybody's freaking out now, and they're like, why would you do that? Why would you do the little one in M3 and the big one in S35VN? Well, here's the thing. You're going to have to sharpen these knives at some point. You're going to use this knife for a whole lot more than you use the little one, and we want you to be able to sharpen the knife. You can take this knife. We had a sharp maker up here, my old sharp maker. This will sharpen that knife in S35VN no matter where you're at. Dull, freaking butter knife dull. You can use a sharp maker. You can use flat stones, whatever, to get it back sharp. As far as the little one goes, the thought there was most people are going to throw this in a pocket. They're not going to use it nearly as much as they would use a larger knife. So having it have the slightly longer edge retention was kind of the idea. So that is kind of, I just wanted to kind of warn everybody about that and kind of explain it before it comes to pass. And also the bishop name. Well, here's the deal. Whenever I got the group of knives that we asked if I would like to be involved in naming, we had the bishop and we had this one. And believe me, guys, naming knives is not the easiest thing in the world if you're not the guy that put the initial line down in CAD. So whenever I was looking through these, I just thought they had a nice stately look, whether it be the deacon or the bishop. And then they shared a lot of lines and a lot of just look in general. Slightly different blade shape, but I also wanted them to have a name that meant something. Whenever you see something that I've named from We Knife Company or anybody else, I try to have the name be something that you can recognize. And that's one reason I try to stay with one-word names and names of things that you can recognize. And I just thought these had a nice stately look to them. And the hierarchy of the church has always been interesting to me, so they became the deacon and the bishop.
You need a priest. Got to have priests out there.
Well, if we ask me to name some more, and there's some that have that same nice stately look, hey, we might have a priest.
I like it. And I mean, do you agree what I was saying about what I was saying that the companies are actually paying attention now, and they're trying to give us what we want. So if enough people want something out of your knives, you got to start talking about it. You got to have conversations about it. If not, it's not going to happen. They don't know. And you know, you make enough fuss about it, and they think that you might stop buying their knives. You know, like CRKT, they made a statement, I think it was last year, that they were comfortable and they were producing knives for the everyday user, and they weren't ever going to change their blade steel as long as it was selling. And look what they did this year, because enough people talked about it and made a fuss about it. So they start, you know, they're gonna give people what they want, to an extent. You know, you can't go too crazy, but you know, if everybody starts talking about it, they're gonna say, "Hey, that's gonna sell knives, so let's do it."
That is absolutely true. And if you are CRKT and you are, and to some extent CRKT, but if you're ZT and you're Benchmade and you're Spyderco and some of these other brands, we got a couple knife guys, and I know I've got hookup over at We Knife Company, and they're producing some of my knives. But seriously, look what's on my table. I have Chinese-made knives, and I have with Chinese branding, and I have U.S.-made knives. I don't have. Okay, so yeah, I do have two. I have two knives on the table that were made in China and branded a U.S. brand, but they're not CRKTs and Kershaws. Almost everything I've got on my desk right now is self-branded and either U.S. made or Chinese made. And the U.S. brand, or the U.S. brands that are having knives made other places are getting choked hard. This brand right here is killing them. Not in the retail space, but it's killing them in online sales. And unfortunately anymore, whenever somebody breaks a knife, they go to Amazon, they buy another knife. We're talking the average guy. They don't go to the hardware store. They don't go to the sporting goods store. And whenever they look up pocket knife on Amazon, they don't see any of these, but they see all sorts of different brands. They see the Kubi knives. They see the some of the Best Tech knives and all these other things. So they have to listen. Yeah, I said all to say they have to listen. Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna answer what Brian just said. I'm getting the Seismic tomorrow in that Krupp steel, the 1.4116. Said, how much should I complain at $120? You're paying that $120 because of that new locking mechanism, and that's why they put that Krupp steel in there, because in order to make it at a reasonable price, they had to put their most budget line steel in there, just like they do, like on the Havas and some of those other that have the field strip technology. You're paying for that other stuff, and that steel is just to get it in a price point that they could make even fathomable. And I'll tell you right now, I've used that Krupp steel. It's definitely budgeted steel to the umpteenth degree, but compared to your HCR, it's not much different. Especially with all my everyday testing that I do, my everyday use type of shit, you know, with cardboard and rope and plastic and stuff like that, and wood carving and stuff. It's not going to blow anybody's mind. It's super easy to sharpen. I have had 2 cold steels in it. I've had a CRKT in it, and some overseas knife, and it performs about like HCR.
Yeah, I would put it a rung below the Sandvik steels.
Yeah, and if it's heat treated properly, like Zell said, right below the Sandviks, the 12C.
Yeah, because that I didn't care for it, but the last knife I looked at that had it was one of the cold steels. It was a crappy knife, and it was a crappy steel. And if the knife's crappy and the steel's crappy too, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. By you're paying for that new was it the deadlock or whatever that lock is on the Cosmic? You're paying for that, So that's how they figure. They figure if they have something that's piques your interest enough, you're not gonna worry about the steel as much until they make the second one until they start rolling that lockout in a bunch of knives. Then they have to start putting decent steel in there. But I mean, I've had good and bad, kind of like Zell said. My cold steel worker, pro light or whatever, it was decent. It was, like I said, performed kind of like an 8CR. Probably will do everything. Everybody, 90% of people's EDC task, unless you're just like me and cut things just to cut them. But
Right.
let's see, definitely gonna be a long termer. See, yeah, that's a big old knife too, huh? Isn't it like a 4-inch blade? Not sure. It's interesting. I'm interested to see how that lock, how it works. Like, if it's easy to actuate. It looks pretty simple. I don't know how my dexterity would be on grabbing I guess it's kind of like a button lock, except it's on the pivot. What do you think about that one, Zell?
I haven't really looked at the lock mechanism.
The deadlock or whatever.
I'm kind of waiting until the one makes it through the pass round so that I can see that lock mechanism in person and kind of get a look at it. I'm a guy that sits around and thinks about lock mechanisms, so it's kind of interesting to me. And I've thought up all kinds of lock mechanisms, but whenever it comes down to it, the reality is that this lock mechanism that you see on dang near everything on the table,
deadbolt. Mm-hmm.
The just standard frame lock is simple and reliable.
Yeah.
And there aren't any extra pieces, parts. You're working on the springiness of certain stainlesses and certain titaniums, and it's reliable, repeatable, and doesn't require any fancy mechanisms. So, we'll see. But the only lock mechanism that I care too much for, besides your frame and frame locks and your liner locks, is the Axis style lock or the McHenry and Williams lock, because that opens up a lot of different design choices that you can use. And it's now that Benchmade doesn't have a patent on it anymore, not Benchmade, McWilliams and Henry, or McHenry and Williams, however that works out, doesn't have a patent on it anymore. That means that you can use variations of that lock to make some really interesting designs.
Like SOG. SOG has been, like, I'll tell you what, that Terminus XR, they solved a lot of the issues I had with the Axis lock, with my fingers, The way they set up that pad, it's way more comfortable for me to actuate. And they figured out how to put more spring tension on theirs to be able to produce a flipper successfully.
Yeah, and that's something that I have been thinking on, because there's a couple of designs that I would like to do that would require a bit more spring tension. And the problem is Spyderco sits quietly over there in the corner with some patents on the similar type of lock mechanism that kind of block you out of doing some of that. I'll have to see what CRKT's done. You're absolutely right, Slicey. I have not seen the Hogue. I need to get a hold of the Knife Rights guy, Dave, or Doug, and see if I can get a hold of one of those knives. But I've got the millet, and it's pretty darn good.
David, I don't know, what's the hold up now, but at Blade Show last year, I talked to the girl at Steel Wheel about the Ant Lock, and their hold up at that point was they couldn't find a company that could produce it reliably enough for them to put it out on the market yet. I guess it has, some intricacies that some of these companies haven't been able to figure out, or maybe they just, whatever. I know that the guy who made it, that designed that lock, was, I don't know, there was some kind of holdup on his end too. But I wish it would come out because they had a few of the models with clip points that I liked.
Yeah. We'll have to see, though. If it's got a bunch of little parts in it, that could be scary in a lock mechanism. We know how the whole Omega spring thing works out. And random question for both of us. Do either of you smoke cigars? I do on rare occasion. Anything that would interest you if you're a cigar aficionado? Probably not. How about you, Stassa?
My brother and my dad are big cigar smokers. I just never could acquire that taste for it. So no, sorry, I haven't. Like I said, I just that's an acquired taste in my opinion.
Yeah, where are we at? We've talked a lot about CTS 40CP. Stassa can talk about that a little bit. If I remember, CTS 40CP is that
440C.
Right, that is 440C in powder form, right?
Yes, correct. And I'll verify on that. I don't care whatever steel Strider chooses is gonna perform at its top notches because they're getting it heat treated by Peter's Heat Treat, which is a quality. They're one of the best in the game, besides Tony Bose's heat treating processes. But they're I guess QC as far as making sure that they're hitting their numbers and they're doing it the right way. They make a lot of these steels perform great because at first when people saw the 40CP, they were like, well, that's just a glorified 440C. But look at what they did with 154C. I mean, CPM 154. They made it perform so good. It's pitiful. Stop, buddy.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only problem with 40CP right now is I actually went looking for that steel here, I don't know, a year and a half ago to buy it. And it just is not available in thicknesses or sizes for knife makers right now. Not even available in sizes or thicknesses for production knife makers, which is very, very disappointing. It has become a bearing steel is what's happened. And probably if these aren't ceramic, probably the bearings in there are made out of it. And, that's unfortunate because I think it could have been great. Let's see here. Blade stirring and also any suggestions? It depends on what kind of knife it is, Barry.
Love the animal. Bryce asked if my daughter has gotten her first knife yet. She's 9 years old, so no. But anytime that I get the chance to, when we're doing some of my testing and stuff and she's outside, I will show her how to cut things, and she's cut stuff with me before. So once I think she's mature enough to own her own knife, then yeah, she'll have one.
All right, that is fine. Yeah, she'll be there soon. She's a good kid.
Yeah. But that's one thing, she enjoys, helping me out and doing that kind of stuff with me, and then I go play slime with her. So if y'all didn't see that video the other day, we put a little funny twist on my pet peeves video with her slime, and that made her night. So that was always fun to do when I can.
That is always awesome. Oh, Barry, steel wheel intrigue. Take it apart, clean it up, and pray. That's about all you've got with that knife. There is not enough support in there if it is off center. And it's also built on the cheap. So if something's off and not square, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's just like my steel wheel motifs. I know at least a dozen different tricks to try to get a knife, centered, and that one was off centered. And after doing all the tricks, I just found that the actual FRN was warped. So, sometimes you just can't.
Yeah,
Especially like Zell said, if the structure is not set up, properly, it's not going to happen.
yeah, there's a lot of talk about centering knives, blah blah blah. Now we should be beyond all the tricks and stuff that are in that video, Barry, because today, if this knife is, and this one is, if everything is flat, square, all the holes are drilled at 90 degrees, and they're screen square, and nothing is warped, then everything fits together right, and the knife is down and centers properly. And if it doesn't center properly, all you have to do is make sure that your pivot is tightened back up. Fit. But so many knives are not done that way, and it's really sad. I've got this Kubi. This is a $40 knife from a brand new, or not new knife company, but a fairly new knife company, new to making their breaking out and making their own stuff and such. This knife's like $40, and it's got an unbelievable action on it and perfectly centered. Why? Because they machined it square. And so many knives, I mean, your Chinese Kershaw, your CRKTs, Chinese CRKTs, it's a matter of they didn't spend the extra few pennies a knife to get the machining tolerances to keep them square. And that is our own fault. Maybe not the people that are watching this video, but it is the fault of the consumer. Because the consumer has said, we want a knife for this price. Well, to get a knife for this price, we have to deal with these tolerances. It's just the way the game's played.
Yeah, Bubblefish, that's what I hear. That wasn't my littlest Stassa 23. That was my 21-year-old daughter that made that video that I haven't got to watch yet.
No kidding. We all got to go watch and comment on that one here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell y'all right now, I have great kids. I couldn't have asked for more, and it was because of them that I'm still here today. So I love them to death.
Well, we are more than an hour and a half into this. Stassa, how are you doing on battery? Are we getting close?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna be able to be on too much longer because me and my wife are going to Natchez in the morning for a little getaway. But before we end, I want to just I was telling you about this. There's something that just irks me, and I kind of.
Stassa, you mute yourself. There you are.
Okay. I do a thing on my channel every now and again where I do my Amazon Knife of the Month, and I was scrolling, doing my my nightly peruse through the knives on Amazon in the budget realm, and my buddy Patty from Patty's Potato Peelers was telling me about one of the new Ganzo knives, so I decided to grab two of the $32 Ganzos in D2 that are Rockwell to 60 HRC because that's a good combination there. And Ganzo seems to do a pretty good job. From what I can tell, Ganzos seem to be made by San Maran Mew. I mean, that's just what I'm gathering. And we know that they can do a good job. And I got both of the knives in, and it kind of irks me because they're done so damn well. Like the G10 is your quality layered G10, got milling all over it. The action is almost as smooth as my Sugar Girl Neon, and that's the smoothest knife in my collection. It is the most buttery smooth. The flipper tab on one of them is set up amazing, and $32. Like, I got high-end knives that don't come close to the quality of these two knives, and that shouldn't be happening. Like, that's why I said what I said earlier about companies. I would love to see our companies just take 4 designs and make them the best they can before they release anything else that year,
I'm all for that. It's not going to happen, but I'm all
No,
for.
but
And I wish I could look at those Ganzos, but I stuck my. Well, I didn't. They upset me, as you know, a couple of years ago, and they haven't came clean yet. So I'm not going to do it.
And they just got lucky that I ended up grabbing them because they seemed to be the best bargain at the time I was looking. Like I said, for $32, the quality that came was outstanding, and it probably would be the only Ganzos I buy for a long time because I kind of had written them off until they started doing like Kubi and making their own designs. And because none of us are perfect, and I'm all about giving somebody a second chance. And if they stick to that format, then I may review one here and there when I'm doing my budget knife of the month. But I just kind of wanted to see where their quality, because I know that I heard so many of the YouTubers I respect talk about how good these two models were. So I wanted to check it out myself, and wow, that's all I can say is wow.
Oh yeah, I was never upset with a Ganzo model, except whenever they started using those stupid soft screws. That was just what the heck. But
and they might still be soft because you got to have some. They're lacking somewhere. For $32, you got to have something they're lacking on.
Yeah, of course. But well, yeah, I'm glad that they're doing good with the D2. I just really want them to do, like you said, do what Kubi did, because Kubi did and was I'm not going to say they were a copier, but they were definitely a making stuff similar to company, and too similar to be written off as two separate people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like that's what I said. That's why I never really gave them a second look. And I probably still wouldn't have if I wouldn't have been doing my little budget knife of the month, because that whole part on my channel is only, that's for people that just need a good budget knife, that don't really care any about the politics or anything. And, and I wouldn't have done it if they were still doing the homages to all these companies, but kind of like Kubi, I'm willing to give them a second chance, but if they screw up again, it's over. And like I said, it'll only ever be showed if I'm doing one of those little segments on my channel too.
Right. And Rick brings up Artisan, and Rick, I actually love what Artisan is doing. I don't know about the release cycle. The release cycle is fast, but I hope that they can continue to do this deal where they have 2 different sizes of a knife, and they also have them in 2, sometimes 3 different price points for the same handle and blade shape. I just think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, especially because it's just like the Roxy. Would I have wanted to just do, since it was with just do a Habibi Roxy, or just do a G10 Roxy? Well, absolutely not. But now, doing it the way Artisan does, they do the full TI or TI and carbon fiber, and then they step back and they do the others. And that just makes so much sense. And I wish that there was more of that out there. Yeah, Fura is pretty bad.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I will completely write a company off on, is when they blatantly lie. Like, because what else are they lying about, And I can't ever trust that they're ever going to change, because you lied so bad, for so long. I don't know.
Right. And Fura was just directly ripping off and putting the wrong steel in. And just, those guys need to back up, change their name, and try again.
Yeah, exactly. That's about the only way they're going to, and it sucks because I've heard from several people that the actual action and quality of what they're producing was pretty nice, and it's like, come on, man. How hard would it have been to get a couple of designers and make your own shit and put, even HCR, they would have still bought those knives at HCR at the price you're selling them with real titanium. It
Right.
just, I guess I just don't understand their business thinking on that.
Well, for the Asian guys, it's tough for all of them. They're having to completely rethink how that they have made money over the past several years. We with Riot and Best Tech and Artisan Cutlery now and a few others have completely re-imaged the Chinese knife world. And we have companies like Kubi and some of these others that are trying to get a piece of that. And it takes a complete rethinking, and they're having a hard time with it. All of them are. Because instead of being throwing stuff out there that looks like something else at a cheap price and selling a gazillion of them, they're having to move to this. Okay, so we're going to make, say, this Kubi, and we may only sell a few hundred of them, but instead of making 50 cents a piece, we're going to be making $30 a piece. And like I said, it sounds simple whenever you talk about it, but to change your entire business model is not that simple.
Yeah. Oh, and Chief Jeff, yeah, the FH21 is the one I was just talking about. Yeah, and I meant to say 23, not 32. That is one of the nicest. Besides one flaw it's got, it's one of the nicest knives at that price point I've ever had.
Yeah, I agree. And Kevin brings up Tuya Knife, and I actually like Tuya Knife. I like the people over at Tuya Knife. Tuya Knife has some issues that they're going to have to work out internally to get things moving forward, because they're having some some pricing issues they got to get figured out so that they can get things onto Blade HQ and other places. A lot like Kubi's doing. Kubi is going to have issues out there. Everybody talks about videos. This one and this one. This one's 140. This one's $40. Whenever they hit Blade HQ and Knife Center and places like that, this knife is going to jump up by $20, maybe $30. This knife is going to jump up probably 10 or $15 because Blade HQ can't run on fumes. They've got to make some money too, and somebody's got to pay them. It's just the way it is.
Yep. Thanks everybody who wished me a happy birthday again. I see a few, and I'm not ignoring you. I didn't want to jump in over Zelt.
Yeah, and Rick, and happy birthday to Stassa for the 100th time tonight.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing that we've got another one in the books.
Yep.
And Dave and Rebecca are great, Rick. And I wish them the best. I hope that they can get their pricing situation figured out and get the distribution onto the major retailers so that they can expand their sales and become more of a player, because they need to. Dave needs to Dave and Rebecca need to feed their family. The guys over at Tuya over in China need to make a little money so they can do the same thing. And that's the big issue holding them back. Oh, wait a minute. Staz is only 21, guys.
Yep. 21. I wish.
That's right. I'm the one that's as old as Methuselah.
I can't. And I think I might think I'm joking, but I really don't know how old I am. I'm either 37 or 38. I kind of lost track of my years once I stopped writing it every day. But my daughter told me I was 37. She said, but my wife said I think she said I was 38. So one of them two.
All right, we're going with 21. Sounds good.
Yeah, hey, that works for me.
Well, that's fine, Slicey. If you want to be the old guy, go for it.
Yeah, I want to ever battle anybody on that one. It's funny when you're a kid, you just want to be older. once you turn 21 and you have nothing else besides your insurance dropping, and you just wish you could be younger.
That's true. And yeah, Slicey, I'm a bit older than you, but not by much.
Y'all aren't old farts or nothing. So
awesome. Well, Stassa,
yeah. Let's call it a night. We really appreciate everybody jumping on. We had a good little turnout tonight. We enjoyed all the topics we talked about. If y'all ever have any questions or comments, y'all just let us know. Leave it down in the chat. We'll read those. And I got to go and watch this video that everybody's telling me about.
Yeah, me too. Well, you guys, we really appreciate you. It has been awesome as always. We're still working towards getting this refined down to a somewhat more regular time. And whenever we kind of get a handle on that, we'll bring in some more people besides just Seth. I'd say just Seth, but besides Seth, and try to do some interview work. And that should be fun.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I will see y'all on the next one.
All right. Night, everybody. Have a good one.